everyone. Let's get started today with segmenting words into individual sounds or phonemes. The first word is cloud.
Cloud.
K-l-o-u-d. Power.
Power.
P-ow-er. Moist.
Moist.
M-oist. Louder.
Louder.
L-oud-er. Rooster.
Rooster.
R-oo-st-er. Shampoo.
Shampoo.
Sh-a-m-p-oo. Lucky.
Lucky.
L-a-k-e. Great work. Now we are going to change or add a new sound to the beginning of a word to make a new word. Say air.
Air.
Add w to the beginning and the word is where. Port.
Port.
Add s to the beginning and the word is sport. Or. Add k to the beginning and the word is core. Arm.
Arm.
Add ch to the beginning and the word is charm. Ert. Add sh to the beginning and the word is shirt. Tar. Add s to the beginning and the word is star. Erst. Add th to the beginning and the word is thirst. Now let's do it with the last sound in each word. Say let. Add to the end and the word is letter. Core. Add t to the end and the word is court. For. Add t to the end and the word is fort. Char. Add j to the end and the word is charge. Were. Add st to the end and the word is worst. Sure. Add t to the end and the word is short. Sore. Add s to the end and the word is source. Now we are going to blend syllables to make one whole word. So just listen carefully and then say all the syllables or parts together to make a word. Microphone. Microphone. Gigantic. Gigantic. Forgetful. Forgetful. Salamander. Salamander. Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia. Important. Important. Flamingo. Flamingo. Popular. Popular. Now it's your turn to try. I will say a word, you repeat the word, and then use your chopping hands to break it up into syllables. Engagement. Engagement. Enormous. Enormous. Remember. Remember. Perfectly. Perfectly. Elastic. Elastic. Glimmering. Glimmering. Introduce. Introduce. Intelligent. Intelligent. Difficult. Difficult.
Arlington Public School friends. Today we're going to work on some high frequency words. These are our words, and we're going to go through the list and make sure we all know what the words are. Watch closely. Could, again, does, when, was, very, said, great, beautiful, goes, maybe, went, with, follow, begin, and school. You can freeze that frame right there and practice on your own. One game I like to do when I'm practicing my sight words is have a bunch of papers on the floor with the sight words written on them. I pick up the word, I say said, crumple it, and make a basket. That's 1 point for me. Ooh, very. Pick it up, crumple it, another point. Let's see what this word is. Goes. Crumple it, another point. You can play this by yourself or with a parent or a brother or sister or maybe a neighbor that's close by. Great. Crumple it up, make a basket. Another good thing to do when you're trying to learn your sight words is to have your sight word on an index card or a small piece of paper. And we're going to tap it out on our arm to spell it. So I'm going to say the word school. S-C-H-O-O-L, school. This gets your body moving and it gets you thinking about how to spell school. The word is beautiful. B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L, beautiful. I would do each one a few times before I started a new word. This word is could. Watch how I do this. Could. C-O-U-L-D, could. And the last one we're going to do together is follow. F-O-L-L-O-W, follow. I hope these helped you learn your sight words.
Today in phonics, I'm going to teach you how to decode or read multisyllabic words. These are longer words that are made up of 2 or more syllables or parts. We're going to do this by breaking the longer words apart into base words and inflected endings. Base words are the part that can't be broken down. They give the word its most basic meaning. Here are some examples of base words. Color, happy, want, sad, tall. Inflected endings, or inflections, are groups of letters added to the end of a word that change the word's meaning. Here are some examples of inflected endings. Let's try it. I have my longer word. First, I'm going to search for the base word or inflected ending. Right away, I notice the base word, peach. That leaves me with the inflected ending, es. Putting the parts together, I have peaches. Let's try another one. Here's my next multisyllabic word. I notice the base word, reflect, and the inflected ending, ing. Putting the parts together, I have reflecting. Last one. This time, I noticed the inflected ending first. Est. That leaves me with the base word, small. Putting the parts together, I have smallest. All right, your turn now. I'm going to give you a word in the word column. Your job is to see if you can figure out the base word and the inflection from the multisyllabic word. Here we go. First word. Did you say the base word was smart and the inflection was Awesome job. Let's try another one. Second word. You were right if you said the base word was appear and the inflection is ing. Our word is appearing. All right, the last one's a bit of a challenge, but I think you can do it. Okay, your turn to try now. Here's your challenge. I'm going to give you a multisyllabic word. Your job is to look at the word and see if you can figure out the base word and the inflection. Put them together to see if you can read the multisyllabic word from the word column. Here we go. First word. Did you say the base word was smart and the inflection is If we put the two parts together, our word is smarter. Awesome job. Let's do another. Here's your second word. You check yourself with me. Did you say the base word was appear and the inflection was ing? If you did and you put the two parts together, the word is appearing. All right, the last one is a bit of a challenge, but I think you've got this. Here's your third and final word. All right, let's check. Did you say the base word was funny and the inflection was est? If you found those two parts and put them together, then you read the word funniest. This was a tricky word because the Y in funny changed to an I when we put the inflected ending on. Awesome job. This is a strategy that you can use to help you read longer words. Okay, your turn now. I'm going to give you a word in the first column. Your job is to see if you can figure out the base word and the inflection that make up my multisyllabic word. Here we go, word number 1. The base word is smart and the inflection is The word is smarter. Nice job. Here's word number 2. The base word is appear, and the inflection is ing. The word is appearing. All right, word number 3 is a bit of a challenge, but you've got this. Did you say the base word is funny and the inflection was est? The word is funniest. This is a bit of a challenge because the Y in funny changed to an I in funniest. Nicely done. This is a strategy that you can use to help you when you come across a longer word in your reading.
Hi Arlington students, Mrs. Kaufman here from Baird Elementary School, and I'm excited to do a shared reading with you today. We're going to be looking at the story, Planets of My Solar System, and we're going to be talking about a few of the planets in our solar system. If you really like this passage in this book, you can go into Reading A to Z and find it and read the rest of it on your own. Let's begin. Planets of My Solar System, written by Dina Anastasio. Here's the table of contents. You can see that there's many chapters. My Solar System, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars the red planet, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. We're going to start with Mercury. So you can go back and read My Solar System. Here is a picture of our solar system. Here is the sun, and we're going to look at the planet Mercury, which is the closest to the sun. Then we're going to look at the planet Venus. We're going to read about Earth, our planet, which is the third planet from the sun. And if we have time, let's look at Mars too. But remember, if we don't, you can go back to Reading A to Z and look at all the planets in this shared reading. Mercury. If I could visit the planets one by one, what would it be like to look at the sun? What would it look like? What would I see? What would the difference from my planet be? Mercury's the closest planet to the sun. If you count down the line, it's number 1. The sun would loom larger. Just think of the girth. 3 times as big as it looks back on Earth. And here are 3 pictures of Mercury. And these 2 close-ups have a caption. It says, "Close-up of craters of Mercury's surface." A crater is an area on the planet that dips down and makes a lower area into the surface of the planet. As I go back and read this time, I'd like you to think about some words inside the poem and what their meaning are. I want you to think about loom larger. I also want you to think about girth. So as we go back, think about what might be the meaning of these words. And let's see if there's any clues in the poem. Here we go. Mercury. If I could visit the planets one by one, what would it be like to look at the sun? What would it look like? What would I see? What would the difference from my planet be? Mercury's the closest planet to the sun. If you count down the line, it's number 1. The sun would loom larger. Just think of the girth. 3 times as big as it looks back on Earth. Okay, so as we were reading this poem, it's asking lots of questions. And it's telling us that if you're Mercury, you are looking right at the sun. What would it look like at the sun when you look at the sun? Because remember, Mercury's the closest planet. And so it says the sun would loom larger. Just think of the girth. 3 times as big as it looks back on Earth. Ooh, this line at the bottom is a clue. 3 times as big as it looks back on Earth. So we know that the sun is 3 times as big as Earth. So when Mercury's looking at it, it's seeing something a lot larger than it. It says the sun would loom larger. Well, we know what large means. To loom larger means that it is almost threatening in its size. It's so much larger as it comes into view from Mercury. And it also says just think of the girth. The girth is its circumference. When you measure around something, like think about when you put on your pants around your waist. That is your girth. That is the size you are around your waist, around your body. So I want to go back to this picture. Look at the sun. It's 3 times the size as Earth. And look at little Mercury. The sun is looming larger than it. Yes. Now, we're going to go look at the next planet, Venus. Follow along as I read. When I'm standing on Earth, Venus is seen in the morning or evening, but not in between. Venus is hot. It's the hottest of all. It has clouds that trap heat from the sun's fiery ball. The atmosphere's poison. The heat's broiling hot. It's lovely to look at, but to visit? I think not. And here are some captions for the pictures. Venus's deep valleys and high mountains are difficult to see through its atmosphere. Why are the valleys hard to see and why are the mountains hard to see? Let's think back to what atmosphere means. So, the atmosphere's poison. The heat's broiling hot. Oh, these are clues to why it's hard to see through. Okay, let's go back and read and think about that part. Venus. When I'm standing on Earth, Venus is seen in the morning or evening, but not in between. Yes, it is true. When you are on Earth, you can see Venus up in the sky. Kind of like a star, but it's a planet. Venus is hot. It's the hottest of all. Ooh, this is a good clue. It has clouds that trap heat from the sun's fiery ball. The atmosphere's poison. Well, we know poison is something that can hurt you. It could even kill you. So the atmosphere's poison, oh, the heat's broiling hot. Well, broiling is when you can cook something extra hot, like in the oven, you can broil it. It's one of the hottest settings when you're cooking. So the atmosphere's poison. The atmosphere is the air around us, the gas that's surrounding us. It is so hot that it can be poisonous. And that's why it's so hard to see through it. And you can't see the valleys or the mountains very well. Let's go now to our last planet that we're going to look at, Earth. Earth is the perfect planet for me. Not too hot or too cold. It's a fine place to be. But the thing I like best is the Earth's lovely seasons. Why do we have them? Let me tell you the reasons. Our Earth has a tilt, so in summer I face the heat of the sun floating out there in space. But my friend's home is elsewhere. The sun's tilted away, so my hot summer morning is her cold winter day. So now in this poem, I want to think about the word tilt. And why, when the sun's tilted away from us, the seasons and the weathers change. And I also want to talk about how when it says the heat of the sun floating out there in space, but my friend's home is elsewhere. The sun's tilted away, so my hot summer morning is her cold winter day. Let's reread and think about that. Earth. Earth is the perfect planet for me. Not too hot or too cold. It's a fine place to be. But the thing I like best is the Earth's lovely seasons. Why do we have them? Let me tell you the reasons. Our Earth has a tilt, Ooh, a tilt is when you lean or you incline. So this would be straight up, but the earth actually tilts when it rotates around the sun. Our earth has a tilt, so in summer I face the heat of the sun floating out there in space. But my friend's home is elsewhere. The sun's tilted away. So my hot summer morning is her whole cold winter day. So if you look at the earth here, boys and girls, there is a equator right across the middle. And there is the northern hemisphere and there is the southern hemisphere. When we have the sun and are tilted toward it, we have summer. But that means that the southern hemisphere, like South America, will have winter. And then when the United States and North America have winter because they're tilted away from the sun, the southern hemisphere with South America will have summer. Thank you so much for reading along with me today as we read about some of our planets. Remember, you can go back and read the rest.
Hi students, this is Mr. Parker, and today we are going to be reading a fiction or make-believe story called The Footprint. The focus of our reading today is going to be on making predictions as we read and then confirming those predictions or checking to see if they're right as we read. A prediction is kind of like your guess of what's going to happen next. And as a reader, you use the text and you use illustrations to make predictions. When I make predictions, it makes me feel kind of like a scientist because that's what scientists do too. They make a prediction or a hypothesis as they learn new things. As a reader, instead of doing experiments, we continue reading, and that's what tells us if our predictions are correct or not. So as we read this story, The Footprint, I want you to make sure that you are making predictions and then thinking and checking to see if your predictions are correct. A great way to make good predictions is to use your background knowledge. Think about what you already know about a topic and use that to make your very best prediction. I hope you enjoy the story. All right, here we go with our story, The Footprint. Written by Lynn Fulton, illustrated by Marilee Harold Pills. Now remember, as we read, we're going to make predictions. We're going to share what we think is going to happen next. We're going to use clues from the text and from the illustrations and from our own background knowledge, what we already know, to make our very best predictions. Just by looking at the cover here, I'm making some predictions. What could have made this footprint? Can you use your background knowledge? Have you seen this kind of footprint before? I predict maybe a bird, because on my family's farm we had ducks and I remember that they made prints like that in the dirt. Let's open the story and find out. The Footprint. On this picture, I see someone reading lots of books about birds. Do you think that means my prediction might be right or might be wrong? Here's the table of contents. Oh, don't forget, friends, down at the bottom, there's a glossary. You can find it on page 20. So if any of the new, bold vocabulary words don't make sense to you, look them up in the glossary and that will help you figure them out. A dull day. It was Saturday morning and Angie and Jared were already bored. Their mother had gone to work, their father was busy cleaning the house, and their older sister Sarah was getting ready for a diving trip to Mexico. "Where's my snorkel?" Sarah shouted. "Where's my mask?" Jared shrugged and Annie sighed. "Sarah gets all the fun," Jared said. "We never get to go anywhere." Then their little brother Benjamin came stomping in from the kitchen, trailing his blanket behind him. "Yar!" he yelled. "I'm a monster! Act scared!" But Angie and Jared were tired of acting scared for Benjamin. He was always playing monster. "Come on, Jared," said Angie. "Let's get out of here before Dad makes us babysit." The footprint. They decided to go exploring by the creek that ran behind their apartment building. As they walked along the bank, Jared saw a strange imprint in the mud. "Hey, Angie, look at this." They both stared at the print, shaped somewhat like a narrow fan. Now, friends, I underlined some parts of the text here that I thought might help us with our predictions. The print was made near the water, and it is shaped like a fan. Does this change or confirm your predictions? Remember, my prediction was that it was a bird. Some birds like to be near the water, and a duck's footprint looks a little like a fan. So I think I'm sticking with my prediction for now. How about you? "Something with webbed toes made this," Angie said. "That must mean it lives in the water." "It's way too big to be a duck," said Jared. "And look, here's a mark that looks like its tail is dragging in the mud." "Maybe it's a completely new kind of animal," Angie said. "Or maybe it's a fossil, a dinosaur print," Jared exclaimed. I underlined some important information here, and I want to go back to my original prediction. It's too big to be a duck, and it has a big tail that also left marks in the mud. So my prediction might not be right. Angie and Jared just made their own predictions. Maybe it's a new kind of animal, or maybe it's a fossil. Do you agree with one of them, or do you have your own idea? Jared picked up a stick and poked at the dried mud. The stick broke. "See, this mud is hard. It's petrified." Angie looked doubtful. "It's just dry because it hasn't rained for weeks." "You think some living creature made this?" Jared asked. "That's pretty scary. Suppose it comes after us." "Well," said Angie, "we'd better investigate." Using my background knowledge here, I know that fossils are rock, so if it is just dried mud, I don't predict it's a fossil. How about you? Is it a dinosaur? Angie and Jared ran home and came back with a notebook, pencil, and tape measure. Jared measured the length and width of the footprint, while Angie drew a sketch of it and the tail marks behind it. "We should also make a map of where the creek is and where we found the print," she said. "Then we'll go to the library." Now, I know dinosaurs are extinct, so I don't predict it is a dinosaur. But this is a fiction story, so it could be. What do you think? But when they stepped into the city library with their map and drawing, they felt overwhelmed. So many shelves of books all the way to the ceiling. They did not know where to begin. "Can I help you?" asked a librarian. Jared nudged Angie and she stepped forward to explain what they were looking for. "My brother thinks this is a dinosaur print," she ended by saying, "but I think it might be some kind of water bird." "I believe some dinosaur footprints were recently discovered in Utah," said the librarian. "We'll see if they're anything like your print." The librarian led them to a computer and typed in a website address. "Here's the site," she said. "See if this helps, then come to me if you have any more questions." Jared and Angie crowded up to the computer screen. They read about dinosaur prints that were found when a top layer of earth was turned over. "But our print was right there on the surface," said Jared. "That means it can't be a fossil after all. Maybe it's a bird, like you thought." "Maybe," Angie agreed. Fossils are usually found below the ground, and these prints don't look like what Jared and Angie found, so I definitely don't predict it's a dinosaur. "Is it a bird?" They went back to the librarian. "Where can we find out about birds?" Angie asked. The librarian pointed to an old man sitting at a table surrounded by books. "You're in luck," she whispered. "That's Professor Featherwhite. He's an expert on water birds. I'm sure he'll be interested in your footprint. I'll introduce you." The professor looked closely at Angie's drawing and made a clucking noise. Very unusual. I don't know of any birds in this area that could have made that print. It's quite large, but perhaps a migratory bird from some faraway place. Got blown off course? Asked Jared, finishing the professor's sentence. Well, yes, possibly, said the professor. Here's a book that might help you. Good luck. The professor just made his own prediction on this page. What do you think? It was a large book full of pictures and so heavy that Angie and Jared had to take turns carrying it home. They took the book straight to Angie's room and pored over page after page of birds with webbed feet. But nothing looked right. Looks like we can confirm that it isn't a bird. I don't think we'll find any bird big enough to leave a print like that, said Jared. And besides, what about the tail marks? It could be a bird with a long tail, like a peacock, said Angie. Peacocks aren't water birds, cried Jared. Oh, well, maybe we've discovered the new water peacock, Angie said. Suddenly there was a banging on the door. Let me in! Let me in! It was Benjamin. Do you predict that Angie and Jared have found a new type of animal? I don't think so. Jared solves the mystery. Angie opened the door and Benjamin tumbled in, clutching something under his shirt. They could hear Sarah running down the hallway outside. Come back here, she yelled. Give me my fin. Benjamin, Angie said sternly, are you stealing Sarah's swim fins again? Jared closed the door. Angie, that's it. What? Sarah's fin made our footprint. Give it to me, Ben. Yes, I remember that Sarah was going on a diving trip. From my background knowledge, I've been snorkeling before and I wore fins on my feet. A fin that divers use could have made a print just like that. Oh, no, of course, Angie said, slapping her forehead while Benjamin pulled the fin out from under his shirt. Ben, were you down by the creek a while ago? Jared asked. No, Ben said innocently. Well, a long time ago. Meanwhile, Angie measured the fin and compared it to their drawing and notes. You're right, Jared. It's an almost perfect fit. Then she noticed the blanket tucked into Benjamin's shorts. The tail marks must have been his blanket. So Angie confirmed her prediction using her notes that she took earlier in the story. Benjamin grinned up at them. You mean you found my monster print? Angie and Jared looked at each other and laughed. First we thought it was a dinosaur, said Jared. Then we thought it was a bird, said Angie. But now we know it was the scariest monster in the whole world. And she gave Benjamin a hug. So who made the footprint? And how did your predictions turn out? I hope you enjoyed this story. All right, so now let's recap what we've learned about making and confirming predictions. Remember, when you make a prediction, it means you are making your best guess about what will happen next in the story using words or pictures or your background knowledge. And making predictions is very important because it encourages you to think ahead and ask questions. It allows you to understand the story you're reading better, and you can make connections to what you're reading and use your background knowledge. Do you think it's okay if your prediction isn't correct or needs to change as you read? Most definitely. If you're changing your prediction, that shows that you're thinking about what you're reading. Thanks for learning with me, and see you next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Miss Berg and I teach 2nd and 3rd grade at Campbell Elementary. Today's math lesson is going to be about rounding. Now I know that you have practiced rounding at school before, but I want to show you my favorite strategy and give you a chance to do just a little practice here over the summer. Let's get started. Let's start today's lesson with a number sense routine of skip counting. You're going to start at 12 and count by twos. I'll put the numbers up on the screen in case you need a little help. Ready? Go ahead. Good job. Now let's start at 25 and count by fives. Excellent, nice work. And one more. Let's start at 40 and count by tens. Here we go. Good job. All of the numbers, when we skip counted by tens, are called multiples of 10. And we're actually going to use these multiples of 10 and skip counting to help us today with our rounding. Our learning targets are: I can round 2-digit numbers to the nearest 10, and I can use rounding to make estimates. Round numbers are friendly. That means that they are easier for us to work with. They're close, but not exact numbers, and that's okay if we're just estimating. And they often have zeros. That's what actually makes them easy to work with. So I'm going to teach you today a rounding strategy. We're going to round 37 to the nearest 10. There are 4 important steps in my strategy. Step 1 is find the expanded form. Well, expanded form means that you say what the value is of each digit. If my number is 37, I can use a place value picture and see that the value of the 3 is actually 30. 3 tens, it's 30. And the value of the 7 is just 7 because it's 7 ones. So the expanded form of 37 is 30 plus 7. Step 2 is to use skip counting to make a number line. I'm going to make my number line, and the first number is going to be whatever the tens were. Because there were 3 tens, the first number on my number line is 30. Then I'm going to use skip counting by tens to figure out what the next number is going to be. 10, 20, 30. That's right. The next number is going to be 40. So I put those 2 tens on either end of this number line. Step 3 is to decide where your number belongs on the number line. I find that it's very helpful to first mark the halfway point on your number line. The halfway point between 30 and 40 is going to be easier to find out if we remember what is half of 10. That's right, half of 10 is 5. So I'm going to add 5 to 30, and that's going to give me 35. 35 is halfway between 30 and 40. Now, 37 is a little bit more than 35, so I'm going to put my X over here. That's where 37 belongs on this number line. And the last step, step 4, is to circle the multiple of 10 that your X is closer to. Well, remember, the multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, and this X is definitely closer to 40. So 37 rounds to 40. Let's practice this strategy with another number. Step 1 is find the expanded form. We're going to round the number 52. There's a place value picture of 52. It has 5 tens and 2 ones. So the expanded form is 50, that's the value of the 5, plus 2, that's the value of the 2. Step 2, use skip counting to help you make a number line. Well, my number line is going to start with that 50 from the expanded form. Then I'm going to use skip counting by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. What's next? That's right, the other end is going to be 60. Then, step 3, decide where your number belongs on the number line. Well, the halfway point is really important, and if half of 10 is 5, then halfway between 55 and 60 is, there we go, it's 55. But 52 is definitely less than 55, so I'm going to put the X around here. And the last step, step 4, circle the multiple of 10 that your X is closer to. Oh yes, it's closer to 50. 52 rounds to 50. Put the steps up on the top corner just to make them easy for us to see while we do a few more examples. Let's round 49 to the nearest 10. The expanded form is 40 plus 9. What's our next step? That's right, we're going to make a number line starting with 40. And can you tell me what's going to be on the other end of this number line? Exactly, it's going to be 50. The halfway point between 40 and 50 is? Good job, 45. 49 is way bigger than 45. That x goes way over there. So if I'm going to circle the closer multiple of 10, 49 definitely rounds to 50. Here we go, 64. My expanded form of 64 is? Good job, 60 plus 4. On my number line, I'm going to start with 60. And what's the next number going to be? 40, 50, 60. Yep, you got it, it's 70. I'm going to mark the halfway point of 65. 64 is a little bit less than 65, so I'm going to put my X here. Now, don't be tricked. Sometimes my wonderful second grade friends will say that 64 rounds to 65. But is 65 a multiple of 10? I know that X is close to 65, but it's not a multiple of 10. The closest multiple of 10 is 60. 64 rounds to 60. How about one more example with 75? There's my place value picture. What's my expanded form? That's right, it's 70 plus 5. So my number line is going to start with 70, and the next number will be 80. Good work. Halfway between 70 and 80 is 75. Great job. And that's my number, so I'm going to put the X right there. But wait, 75 is exactly in between 70 and 80. Luckily, all the mathematicians have agreed to follow the same rule for rounding. If it's a 5, it's always going to round up to the next bigger number. And that's just something that we have to, as mathematicians, remember, that 5 always rounds up. Let's now practice using rounding to estimate. Here's a little situation. There are 27 kittens at the animal shelter. About how many kittens are there? The word about tells me to estimate, and I know that one great way to estimate is by using rounding. There's my number line. I have 20 and 30 and 25 in the middle. 27 goes right about here. So what does 27 round to? That's right, 27 rounds to 30. There are about 30 kittens at the animal shelter. How about another example from the animal shelter? There are 14 puppies. Approximately how many puppies are there? Approximately is another estimating word, and we can use rounding to help us. Here's my number line. I have 10 and 20. That's what 14 is in between. It belongs right about there, a little bit less than halfway. What does 14 round to? That's right, 14 rounds to 10. And there are approximately 10 puppies. Using rounding to estimate can also help us with word problems like this one. I baked 42 chocolate chip cookies and 25 oatmeal cookies. About how many cookies did I make in all? Well, about is another great word for rounding. I'm going to round 42 to the nearest 10 first. It's between 40 and 50. What does 42 round to? That's right, it rounds to 40. Then I'm going to round 25. 25 is between 20 and 30. What does 25 round to? I'm so glad you remembered the rule that 5 always rounds up. 25 rounds to 30. Now, my question said about how many cookies did I make in all? in all means adding. So I can add 40 plus 30. And like we talked about earlier, round numbers are friendly. How about if I said add 4 tens and 3 tens? You know 4 plus 3. You're right, that's 7. 7 tens is 70. I made about 70 cookies. So our learning targets today were I can round 2-digit numbers to the nearest 10, and I can use rounding to make estimates. How are you feeling about these skills? Are you feeling in the red, I don't understand this yet? Yellow, I'm starting to get this, but I still have questions? Green, I can do this on my own? Or blue, I could teach this to someone. Think for a second now about how you're feeling about rounding and estimating. So today for our family math tip, I just want to tell you about a really great way to practice rounding with your family and a way that you'll be surprised to see what great rounding skills your kids have. One thing that I've noticed in teaching 2nd and 3rd graders is that rounding money is something they are very familiar with and they really are very proficient at. So when you go to the store or if you are shopping online, talking about how you round prices to the nearest dollar to estimate how much things are going to cost, especially if you are adding up the prices of a few different items, is something that will really help your kids understand the practical application of rounding. So happy rounding, and I guess happy shopping too.
Hi, my name is Erin San. I am a teacher and a mindfulness coach. And what that means is I help people just like you use all of their senses to notice what's happening in their lives from moment to moment so they can stress and worry less and smile a whole lot more. Today I want to share with you a practice that may help you when you're feeling disappointed. Disappointments happen in our lives. Things don't always go exactly the way we plan them to go or exactly the way we want them to go. So we have to be prepared for disappointments and unexpected outcomes. But one way that we can make sure that we don't stay disappointed or get really sad or angry about the way things turn out is to lean into a practice called gratitude. Gratitude means being thankful for things that we have and things that we're able to do, and for people and experiences in our lives who make us feel joyful and happy. And even in the most challenging situation in life, there's always something to be grateful for. So we're going to practice how it feels today to be grateful. So come into a comfortable seat. Maybe that means moving and wiggling and jiggling a little bit before you get settled into stillness. And once you arrive, you can keep the eyes opened or you can close them. And bring both hands to stack over your heart. Your heart is where gratitude lives. This is where you can be thankful. So I want you to bring to mind one thing that you're grateful for. Maybe it's a person, a good friend, someone in your family. Maybe it's an experience, a trip that you took, an activity that you participated in that you really enjoyed. Maybe it's a sport you play and you feel really alive when you have a chance to play that sport. Maybe it's your favorite teddy bear. Maybe it's your favorite TV show. Bring to mind one thing that you are grateful for. And maybe close your eyes. Just see yourself interacting with this person or this experience, or playing this sport or this video game, or cuddling the teddy bear. Notice how it feels to know that you have this thing in your life. You are so lucky. When you concentrate on how lucky you are for this person or this thing or this experience in your life, it can make you feel really, really good. It can change your mood. It can make you feel happy. So what I'd like you to try now is to get out a piece of paper and get something to write with or draw with, and start to make a gratitude list. Make a list of all of the people and all of the things and all of the experiences in your life that you are so grateful for. You are so lucky in so many ways. Write all of those ways down on a piece of paper. If you don't know how to spell, you can draw pictures. Something that helps remind you of how lucky you are. So the next time you're feeling disappointed, you can take that list out. You can look at it, read it, think about it, and really feel it in your heart, so you remember that you are grateful. And that will make you feel a whole lot better. Thank you so much for practicing gratitude with me today. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Second Step lessons are created by Committee for Children, who owns and controls all rights therein. Permission was granted to district to make and broadcast this video for educational use only by district parents, families, teachers, and counselors with students currently learning via television broadcast due to the impact of COVID-19. No other use of this video or Second Step lessons is permitted. Committee for Children, 2020. Hi everyone. Today is our last lesson together, and we're going to talk about how to manage another feeling that you've probably had over the last few months: disappointment. Disappointment is the feeling you get when things don't turn out the way you wanted them to. I'm sure there have been times during the school closure and quarantine when you were really looking forward to something and it didn't happen. Maybe you weren't able to go play with your friends, or you weren't able to have a birthday party that you wanted, or you weren't able to go visit family members who you don't live with. That uncomfortable feeling you got was most likely disappointment. You might also feel disappointment when you fail at something, and it might make you want to give up. Everyone feels disappointed sometimes, and today we're going to talk about how to use positive self-talk to calm down strong feelings of disappointment so you can try again and be a problem solver. Let me tell you about Leo. Leo's baseball team has an important game on Saturday, and Leo's goal was to be the pitcher. The pitcher is the person who throws the ball to the person who's swinging the bat. The coach chose another player instead. Focus your attention on Leo's face and body and think about his situation. How do you think he feels? Definitely disappointed. You might think sad or let down too. And Leo is so disappointed. He feels like crying. His strong feelings are making him so uncomfortable. Show me a thumbs up if you've ever felt disappointed. Yeah. Everyone feels disappointed at times. And sometimes the feeling is so strong and your body is so uncomfortable that it's really hard to think. And this is when you need to calm down that strong feeling. So let's remember the calm down steps. How can Leo calm down? Leo can use his stop signal, name his feeling, and do some belly breaths to calm down. And at first, he feels better after taking those steps. But then he starts thinking about the situation again. And he says to himself, I must be a terrible pitcher if the coach didn't pick me. Maybe I should just quit baseball. What kind of self-talk is Leo using? Show me a thumbs up if it's positive or a thumbs down if it's negative. Definitely negative. Self-talk affects how we feel. Negative self-talk is making Leo's feelings of disappointment stronger. Positive self-talk will help him calm down so he can think about what to do next. So let's think about some positive self-talk that Leo could use to help himself calm down. What about, I'm a good pitcher. If I practice, I'll get better. I'll train hard and pitch in the next game. Leo calms down using positive self-talk, and then he rethinks his goal to be the starting pitcher for the team. He decides he still really wants to achieve that goal, but he needs a plan. Does this sound familiar? You learned to make 3-step plans during our first week together in summer school. So let's think about a 3-step plan to help Leo achieve his goal. How about he could ask for help with his pitching skills, practice pitching every day, and he could ask the coach for another chance too. So Leo now has a 3-step plan to try and achieve his goal. First, he's going to ask his coach for help with his pitching skills. Then he'll practice for 30 minutes a day. And then after 2 weeks of practicing, he's going to ask his coach if he can be pitcher. With perseverance, right, that ability to keep trying, Leo can definitely achieve his goal. Remember, when things don't turn out the way we wanted, or when we set a goal and we fail at it, we can use positive self-talk to calm down our strong feelings of disappointment. Then we can look at our goal again with fresh eyes and a clear mind, and we can create a plan to help us move forward. I hope you've enjoyed learning together over the past few weeks. Please take care and stay well.
Gracias por acompañarme nuevamente en este episodio. Me llamo Diana Díaz y soy maestra de la Escuela de Inmersión Claremont. Hoy estaremos aprendiendo acerca de cómo colectar y analizar data y cómo representarla de diferentes maneras, como en gráfica y pictogramas. Antes, vamos a comenzar con la rutina de sentido numérico. Comencemos. Observa la gráfica de barras. ¿Qué piensas cuando la ves? ¿De qué tú crees que se trata esta gráfica? ¿Cómo lo sabes? Te voy a dar un momento para que puedas explicar de qué tú crees que se trata esta gráfica. Recuerda que toda respuesta siempre es correcta siempre y cuando tú puedes explicar tu pensamiento. Podría tratarse de la clase favorita de los estudiantes de segundo grado. Y si se trata del libro favorito del salón, hay libros de diferentes temas. Y si se tratara de la asistencia en la clase. ¿En qué clase asistieron más estudiantes? Pueden haber muchas respuestas. ¿En cuál tú pensaste? Comencemos con el vocabulario. Marcas de conteo. Las marcas de conteo es una manera de contar de una forma más rápido formando grupos de 5. Esto equivale a 5. Las marcas de conteo las podemos utilizar en una tabla como esta. Data. Data es la información que se recopila. Encuesta. Encuesta es una investigación a través de preguntas. Por ejemplo, yo realicé una encuesta a estudiantes de tercer grado para recopilar la data usando marcas de conteo en una tabla. Las tablas, pictograma y gráficas de barra representan e interpretan información de manera clara, precisa y ordenada. Pero las gráficas de barra y pictograma permiten ver la información que tiene la tabla de una manera más rápida y fácil. Antes, necesito recopilar la información. Esa es la data. La información que recopilo la organizo en tablas, pictograma o gráficas de barra. ¿Sabías que ellas cuentan una historia? Te voy a contar una historia. En la escuela de Kiara estaban hablando de animales, así que Kiara quiere ir de visita a la granja de su abuelo. Ella quiere saber ¿cuántas gallinas, cerdos y caballos hay en la granja?
Tengo una idea. Le llevaré una gráfica a mi maestra. Primero, voy a recolectar la información en una tabla de conteo.
Ella crea la tabla y comienza a contar los animales. ¿Cuántas gallinas hay? Mientras Kiara cuenta las gallinas, pone una marca de conteo. Ayuda a Kiara a contar las gallinas. ¿Cuántas gallinas contaste? ¿Cuántas contó Kiara?
Yo conté 16 gallinas.
Ella continúa contando los cerdos. Cuenta los cerdos tú también. ¿Cuántos cerdos hay? ¿Cuántos contó Kiara?
Yo conté 12 cerdos.
Kiara continúa contando los animales de la granja. ¿Y cuántos caballos contó?
Yo conté 8 caballos.
¿Contaste la misma cantidad de animales que Kiara? La tabla de Kiara contesta la pregunta ¿cuántas gallinas, cerdos y caballos hay en la granja? Por eso el título de su tabla es Animales en la granja.
Ahora voy a usar mi tabla de conteo para crear un pictograma.
Kiara crea un pictograma. ¿Cuántos triángulos deben aparecer en el pictograma de Kiara para indicar la cantidad de gallinas? Te voy a dar un momento para observar la tabla y pensar la respuesta. ¿Cuántos triángulos colocó Kiara? 1, 2, 3, 4. ¿Pensaste en 4? Si en la tabla de conteo hay 16 marcas de conteo, ¿por qué tengo 4 triángulos? ¡Oh, la leyenda! La leyenda dice que cada triángulo representa 4 animales. Vamos a ver. 4, 8, 12, 16. La información es la misma. Observa los triángulos que Kiara coloca para representar la cantidad de cerdo. ¿Cuántos cerdos hay? 12. Muy bien, vamos a ver 4, 8, 12. ¿O es lo mismo que decir 4 por 3, 12? ¿Cuántos triángulos necesito para representar la cantidad de caballos? 2 triángulos, que es lo mismo que 8. Kiara se divirtió haciendo su pictograma. Ahora va a hacer una gráfica para que la maestra vea la información de una manera más fácil. Observemos la gráfica de Kiara. Kiara hizo una gráfica vertical. Ahora vamos a analizar su gráfica. ¿Cuántos cerdos menos que gallinas hay? Sabemos que tenemos 12 cerdos y 16 gallinas. ¿Cuál entonces es la diferencia? ¿Sabes la respuesta? Podemos usar una ecuación matemática. 16 menos 12 es igual a 4. Hay 4 cerdos menos que gallina. Pero, ¿cuántas gallinas más que caballos hay? Puedo ver el total de gallinas como mi entero. Puedo pensar en que el total menos una parte es igual a la otra parte, pero también lo puedo hacer de una manera diferente. Parte más la otra parte es igual al total. Vamos a verlo con los números. 16 menos 8 es igual a la otra parte. O 8 más esta parte es igual a 16. ¿Saben la respuesta? 8. Hay 8 gallinas más que caballos. Utilizamos los factores relacionados o la familia de operaciones para resolver este problema. ¿Y qué si Kiara, en vez de utilizar una barra vertical, la hubiera realizado de manera horizontal? No importa si la gráfica es horizontal o vertical, la información va a ser la misma. Una gráfica muestra mucha información. También nos dice cuántos animales hay en total, cuántos cerdos, caballos o gallinas hay, cuál es el animal que menos tiene abuelo en la granja, cuál es el que más tiene. Una gráfica te ayuda a decir una historia y a compartir información. Practiquemos. Lo primero que hay que hacer es observar el pictograma. ¿Qué información muestra el pictograma? ¿Estás listo? ¿Cuántas pelotas de baloncesto hay? La clave dice que cada círculo anaranjado representa 2 pelotas. Así que tengo 6. 2, 4, 6. 2 por 3, que es 6. ¿Cuántas pelotas más de fútbol hay que de voleibol? 4. Muy bien. Observo que tengo el doble de pelotas de fútbol que de voleibol. Si tengo 4 pelotas de voleibol, 4 más son 8. ¿Cuántas pelotas menos de tenis que de fútbol hay? 6. Tengo 2 pelotas de tenis y todavía me faltan 2, 4, 6 más para tener la misma cantidad de fútbol. Observemos ahora este pictograma. ¿Qué ves igual y qué ves diferente a las otras? Tiene título tiene dibujos, tiene clave. Vamos a comenzar las preguntas. ¿Cuántas manzanas se vendieron en enero? 2 manzanas. Muy bien. La clave dice que una manzana es igual a 2 manzanas vendidas en el mercado de Miller. ¿Cuántas manzanas se vendieron en febrero? 4 manzanas. Muy bien. ¿Y cuántas se vendieron en marzo? 2, 4, 6 manzanas. O 2 por 3, que es 6. Y si este patrón continúa, ¿cuántas manzanas se venderán en abril? Vamos a ver. 2, 4, 6, 8 manzanas. ¿Pensaste en 8? Eres un experto. Ahora sabemos que cuando existe un patrón en un pictograma o en una gráfica, también nos ayudan a predecir. Hoy me fui a comer una merienda. La merienda traía diferentes semillas, chocolate, maní y pasas. Pero quería saber cuánto de cada una traía, así que comencé a dibujar una gráfica de barra. En el eje vertical escribí los nombres de las semillas. Escribí pasas, maní y chocolate. Luego en el eje horizontal escribí los números de 2 en 2, hasta llegar a 20. Comencé contando las pasas y dibujé su barra. Luego conté los chocolates y también dibujé su barra. Finalmente, dibujé la barra de los maní. Observé mi tabla y me di cuenta que le faltaba un título. Escribí semillas en mi bolsa. Pude haber escrito la merienda del día. ¿Qué semilla tiene mayor cantidad? ¿Cuál tiene menos? ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre el chocolate y las pasas? Tú también puedes hacer una gráfica en tu casa, con legos, bloques o con una hoja de papel. Ahora te toca a ti reflexionar. ¿Para qué puedes usar una tabla gráfica o pictograma? Comparte tu idea con un familiar. Las oraciones anclas que puedes usar son: ¿puedo usar una tabla para? O ¿puedo usar una gráfica para? ¿Puedo usar un pictograma para? Luego de que compartas tu idea con un familiar, piensa en una pregunta. Recopila data y diviértete creando una gráfica o pictograma. Padres, gracias por apoyar el aprendizaje de las matemáticas en casa. Para continuar aprendiendo sobre gráficas, tablas o pictogramas, te voy a dar unas ideas. Cuando vayas a caminar por la comunidad, dile a tu hijo que quieres que haga una investigación sobre qué color de carros se encuentran en el camino. Primero, necesita hacer una tabla para llevar el conteo de los colores de los carros. Luego, cuando llegue a la casa, pídele que organice la información en un pictograma o gráfica. Finalmente, cuando lo termine, hazle preguntas como: ¿cuántos carros viste de color azul? ¿Cuántos carros rojos más que negro? Y así sucesivamente. También puedes utilizar otros temas como el clima. Puede observar el clima por una semana y hacer el conteo de cómo estaba el clima. Luego organizar la información en gráfica o pictograma. También puedes darle materiales concretos como frijoles, tapas y semillas. Lo importante es que tenga 3 categorías. Por ejemplo, 3 tipos diferentes de frijoles para que pueda realizar un conteo y luego hacer la gráfica, diferentes tapas o diferentes semillas. Gracias por haberme acompañado en este episodio de Aprendiendo en Casa con APS. Espero les haya gustado. ¡Adiós!